Life is strange. Those of you who ends up seeing this video and you're watching from an honorable, benevolent space in your heart, whoever you are, I honor you for watching here on YouTube at Blooming Light or Blooming Tribe. If you're logging in live, then you're logging in on Friday the 13th. Friday, March the 13th, 2026, if you're logging in live. Okay. Either way, life is strange. Some of the fascinating things that I've been learning and reviewing over time, especially dealing with this kind of situation that me and my son and many others that are like us are dealing with, is these unspoken prejudices and discriminatory stereotyping behavior, passive aggressive behavior. Someone like me, I come from a background as a young woman, I was exposed to diversity. I came up under a church and a ministry that was considered non-denominational, multicultural. That was one of the themes of the particular ministry I was a part of for a very long time, which in the congregation itself was filled with essentially all walks of life, literally. We had varied different cultures. And so, I personally did not grow up with.
About time, Mom.
Okay, I'm coming.
It's FNP 49, Mom.
That's good, son. I'll be
50.
great. Give me 10 minutes and then I will come and get started, okay? Okay. Um, I won't be long here. I can't be long here. But I thought I would come on and just say, as I was saying, I I don't have those types of oddities and stuff that governs my behavior, governs how I'm seeing people, how I'm perceiving them, how I'm treating them, and conducting and stuff like that. I'm not perfect, but I find life to be strange and fascinating. Being a target, whether folks out there, the ones who can't get their head around it, doesn't matter. Those of you who know that this is true and you're sincere and it doesn't matter at the end of the day. Okay, when you're the one that's experiencing it, whether the running theme is this is some kind of paranoia. Okay, but when you are somebody who has gone through this type of stuff, it almost forces you to look at the oxymoron of how they conduct. But it rings true about this premise here. Abusers, narcissists, antagonists, toxic individuals typically do. Now this is the research. They do tend to, because they know that they have ill will and dishonor. You see it. So since they know that they're doing something to you, maybe, then they assume that you are out basically trying to do the same thing, even if you may not have any knowledge about what they're doing to you. But since they know they are, when they see that you are just out and about, maybe doing something that looks similar to them, the reason it's the assumption for them is you see the oxymoron. So, case in point, like I said, I grew up multicultural ministries. I've been a part of multicultural, non-denominational, exposed to culture diversity. So I can't relate to some of this stuff that some folks is operating in. Okay. Um, but just in culture and life, in the US, you go certain places and people speak various languages. I love languages. It's why I started learning different ones because I find languages to be beautiful. Um, but one of the things that they get used to doing, people who may have a different language than the English language, and they do this very sneakily sometimes, but they get used to, when they're talking amongst themselves, even if you're around, they speak in their native language. If, they even come around you they're on the phone, if they're not on the phone, and let's say they're just talking to themselves, singing to themselves, who knows? Not really our business, but they'll, be speaking another language and they feel comfortable doing that. Okay. They feel comfortable doing that. Like there shouldn't be anything wrong with it. And it's cool. They also, not just different cultures, but folks that are like stalky or nosy and things like that, they are comfortable with their nosing ways. Does that make sense? So they're comfortable with, they feel like if you aren't doing anything wrong, you shouldn't mind them nosing in your business. But here's the oxymoron. That's where the entitled, antagonist, narcissistic undercurrent comes in. Because it's, I can do this and I feel correct with doing it, but you appearing to do it makes me feel some kind of way, and possibly because I have ill will and hidden dishonor, and I'm doing something to you, so I assume that you're doing something to me. I could be nosing around your personal space. I can walk up and down the street and walk my dog, sit in my car, honk my horn, flash my lights, drive up and down the street oddly in a weird way, and I shouldn't be questioned. But you walking down the street, you should be. It makes me uncomfortable. You speaking in another language in front of me makes me uncomfortable. It makes me feel, and I'm talking about them, because again, these are the behaviors that they exhibit and they feel comfortable and okay with doing that. But if you mirror their behavior, even if you don't have ill will, ill intention, you simply just embrace your liberties and freedoms the same way. Much like prayer, much like, we, all the practices here in the US, that our US Constitution, without degradation and humiliation, ridicule, passive aggressive, discriminatory ways, accusationary, and all those things. Because all that stuff has an undercurrent of implying something. But anyway, I got to hear up and go. All those behaviors I've always found fascinating about abusers, all abusers that I've encountered, is they can stalk you, they can nose around and sit there and illegally surveil you and question your character, question your motive, question, what are you hiding? While the whole time, again, with abusers and narcissists, usually what they're nitpicking about is actually who they are and what they are. So they get to picking and picking and picking because they themselves are hiding something. They're hiding that they're part of a cult in some cases. And the boss lady don't know it. And the manager and the landlord don't know it. And there's a numerous amounts of reasons why, but it's because maybe they don't like you, they're jealous, they're triggered, they're bothered. Some people are control freaks. Some people, like, I'm learning about so many things in this unfortunate situation with me and my son. For some people, You wanting to be to yourself is offensive to them. You wanting to be to yourself means you're up to something. You needing to, I mean, people, yeah, never mind. You, you maybe not wanting to, eat a meal, or what I'm finding is a lot of folks simply do have a problem with rejection or no, the words no, the word, and I get it. I get that we all have something, and it takes them to a whole nother place. I also want to say that, I've been talking about industry for some time now due to this situation and me and my son is in, forced me to really start evaluating the system on a larger scale. And this is where I'm learning stuff. Again, I'm not perfect. No one's perfect. Ain't nobody talking about perfection. It is bringing to awareness that, certain industries and fields, it's like, because whatever we are, that comes out in what we do. If, and all I'm saying is, whatever we are personally, let's say we bleed. So let's say we have insecurities or certain things that we're not currently addressing, and our participants, consumers, depending on who we are in these industries, we could, they call it transference. I can't remember the psychology term from college because I'm 1,000 years old, and that was a million years ago when I was in college. But um, it's basically where the therapeutic, in this therapeutic process, instead of, it's like the therapist or the leader or whatever their position is, it's like they become triggered and activated by their participant, patient or whatever, and they no longer can provide as they're activated by them. So they either become hypercritical, they may not provide them. Um, and typically in those arenas, they'll have like their own therapist because they say the therapist needs a therapist because they need to be dealing with their things so that they are not taking anything personal from their participant or patient, first and foremost, to where they can't provide. See what I'm saying? To where it's gonna come out in their emotions, it's gonna come out in um, their mannerisms, it's gonna come out in how far they really want to help. Y'all know how this go now, especially those of y'all of their age with me. You know how this go with the client. You know, is you make you feel better, then it's all, and then the client that maybe even if they don't know it, they bother something, even if they didn't do it or they don't know or they don't know why, then it's like, oh, it's a whole, you see. But that's not really what this video is. This video is just talking about the oxymoron, the oddness of how, the strangeness of this world, that entitlement, that subtle, silent entitlement that no one speaks of. I can stalk you and I could evaluate you. No one ever thinks about someone that is new anywhere. They're equally concerned. See that? When you're surrounded by people you don't know, much like how they are. Now, listen, that's my point. The the entitlement that we should be able to find tooth comb you. We should be able to watch you eat, breathe, poop, piss. We should, when you decide to walk off the park, like we should be able.
You may heard the good news, Mom.
Okay, son, I'm sorry. Give me 5 more minutes.
50,
How much?
50,
Good.
$50,000, Mom. Mom.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, barely got it. 50,000
Good.
Asian couple family 51.
That's nice. Okay, give me. I know I said give me.
Waiting that long.
I know. I just said that. I can't be on long anyway, so I'm coming. But this is important. When people have a problem with their own mirrored behaviors and tendencies, in some, not all, so don't trip. In some cases, many cases, it's because they are doing something to you. And so, because they are, if they have some kind of ill will and hidden dishonor and hidden agenda or whatever the case, or just whatever, then they automatically assume that when you mirror their behavior, what I mean their behavior, I'm saying their liberties and freedoms that they exercise. And what am I talking about? Languages. People who speak multiple languages, when they feel free to speak in their native languages and other languages in front of folks who don't speak that language in the guise of keeping whatever that was said silent or thinking that that person can interpret, they feel comfortable with it. Just like they feel comfortable with surveilling you under the guise of whatever people like to cleverly put things under to excuse unjust, unnatural review, which would include bogus accusational things. They feel free to, like I said, there are people, they don't feel like there's nothing wrong with their behavior when they exhibit it either. They can drive in circles around you and they will feel valid. They can park their cars and sit in them and stare at you oddly, and they feel valid. They can suddenly seem to move when you move and making sure that you know that, and they feel comfortable and valid. They can decide they want to walk up and down the street. They want to walk their cat. They want to walk their dog. They want to take out the trash. They want to sit out on the porch. They can decide. They want if they want to sing in the rain. They can decide, and they would think nothing of it. They can talk in front of you in other language in an odd way and think that it's perfectly fine, even if it's but for 2 seconds. But they would have a problem if you spoke another language that they can't detect in front of them. They would feel some kind of way, huh? And they would feel some kind of way in most cases because sometimes they're talking about you in other languages, not flat or not nice things or other stuff that I'm not going to get into on this video. If you collective were to nose around, I don't care, they would not be okay with that, especially if they hadn't warranted any reason for you to feel entitled. Now, again, take this with a grain of salt, okay? Because in some cases, there's some things that, okay, but often, more often than not, sometimes those are things that are used in order to perpetuate illegal surveillance. They're used. Life is strange. Designed to make a person feel comfortable, but when they are made to be uncomfortable, you see the dynamic, you see the hypocrisy. This too is what helps targeted individuals start to decipher what's what. Because we are in 2026 and we are still dealing with stuff that we shouldn't be dealing with. It's making me want to keep becoming the better. It's making me want to really make sure I continue to, you know, be self-aware and work on my own stuff, but it's also pushing me to, as I survive or thrive through this bullshit that's been manufactured, as I navigate through the smoke and mirrors and musical resources, because that's what this has been. As I survive this and thrive through it, I don't know where that's, but there's certainly a desire that I have. I don't know how that's going to play out, considering I know what's real about this whole shit. I don't want to get too far off in that. But, oh, the programs need an overhaul. It's time for a change. I think that's what I titled this. No copyright infringement here on anybody out there using those phrases. It's time for realsies. For real. From the people who run it, the governance over all of that, sometimes hidden bureaucracy, hidden, because sometimes it's there. I mean, I think we'd all be a little bit gullible if we didn't know, if we didn't understand the possibility of that. And not everybody, but just because, okay, from that to, when you deal with industry, government, um, as I have been in the nonprofit organization industry, I've been exposed to it for some years. I know some stuff about it, but it's important because again, it's for the people. It's for the people. What all these diverse, beautiful programs that they have out there, and I can't get into any of that either. I'm simply saying that the populations in the U.S. Constitution, this should be honoring for everybody. It should. All, not just, I'm not talking about just me. I'm saying period. Like, I don't care if it's a men's program, I don't care if it's for ex-cons, I don't care, like all stuff. And oh, and it's a delicacy. And I get all that. Anywho, I'm getting off track. Life is strange though. This we should not have to constantly be justifying our behaviors if we're not doing anything wrong. That is something I'm calling out. I'm going to continue to push that forward because it reveals, first and foremost, people nosing about you as you mind in your business. But not only that, it helps you to realize like to what magnitude. It's one thing if we have to have a level of groundedness and soundness of mind and adultness about, if people are calling folks for every little thing, something is not right with that. It reeks of motive. Nobody, listen to me, I don't care who you are that ends up seeing this video and you find yourself in some kind of Wizard of Oz situation. Nobody should be questioning you and interrogating you, or even false concern or concern when you're behaving in a normal way. So it tells you that people be lying. I'm sorry. And it's all designed to make you feel uncomfortable. People be lying. They have no business. It gives you whoever you all are that may end up seeing this someday, the hypocrisy, the double standards, the entitlement. If you are not violating and doing, and I mean seriously, I see people do the strangest things every day, and even I, as an adult, know that some stuff is not my business. Some stuff, if they're not looking like, I mean, within reason, some stuff is not. You know how much stuff we see going on out here? Somebody outside walking, talking, hugging a tree, touching a tree or something. I may not necessarily vibe it, but somebody may not vibe with me, who I am, what I do, and what I believe. So these agendas to basically discriminate and harass folks based on any of those things, that's a problem. Religion, race, creed, disability, socioeconomic status, gender, sexual preference, those things, yeah, they're present in 2026. Our U.S. Constitution, for those of us that are in the U.S., that's not honoring to it. That is what I'm trying to imply. They even have stuff for the LGBT community. And I'm not a part of that community or referencing any personal certain community at this time. I'm simply saying there's things that are put in place if they are mistreated, if they get even the inkling of a notion that they are being profiled, and because of their sexual, that they're being profiled and services are being restricted and limited to it, if they even sniff that that is the case, you liable to become bankrupt. If they can get a hold of the right people, you liable to have some problems for your business, for your whole shit. Because they will fight and stand on their liberties to be who they are and to have proper treatments and services and opportunities as everyone else. Mhm. Religion's no different. It's in our First Amendment. Spirituality, who people believe to be God, those who believe God, those who don't believe in God, those who believe there's in the hell everywhere. I ain't gonna say U.S. everywhere, but the U.S. though, supposed to be representing world leaders and things of that nature. And so, unfortunately, that doesn't stop how people decide they want to look at you and view you and things like that. even if their behavior is maybe more disruptive or corrupt than yours. And that's the thing that I think that's where I'm going in life. Properly looking at stuff for what it is, not based on familiarity, commonality, fondness, because all those things are blinders. Sometimes those things are blinding us to how what's people be doing to folks behind the scene. They act one way in front of you and another way when you're gone, and then they will project that the other person is doing the switch. hmm It's classic abuse. Sometimes people be having other agendas going on unbeknownst to some of their circle. And I've dealt with this kind of stuff my whole life. To try to put me and my son in situations where me and my son in situations where, let me see something, we shouldn't be happening to, we should be able to be ourselves and not needing to justify our movement. There's people who wouldn't want anybody challenging them about their personal habits, their beliefs, or their practices. If they smoke, if they drink, if they're Catholic, if they're uh, Presbyterian, there's folks that they embrace that. It's sacred to them. They exercise their free will to, no matter how much data supports what drinking does to the liver and cigarettes do, and they do it, and they dare you to say anything about it. hmm I gotta go. May everyone receive fully what their true essence, energy, vibrations, and actions towards all walks of life, behind the scene and in front of everyone else. May they receive full reflection of such, and they shall, and so it is.